Hey guys, welcome. My name is Anthony Kazazis, and I am the director of the NYC Network Group as well as the NYC Real Estate Expo. And I'm here today with my co-host, Lorendi Roos at Roos Advisors. Roos Advisors is an advisory firm that helps companies improve in sales, marketing, operations, and human development through education. Today we are here at our 7th week out of 12-week webinar seminar called Book Yourself Solid. And today we'll discuss the core promotion strategies, again, like last week, touching on direct outreach strategies with Ali Schwartz at Yelp, Jasmine Willois at Notes Assistance Program, and Derek Hall at Charter Real Estate School. Derek Hall established Charter Real Estate School in 2017 following a successful 13-year career in the field of data acquisitions, which includes senior level positions with Property Shark and Blue Monday Property Advisors. Charter was founded with the goal of creating a convenient environment for real estate professions to learn and develop the skills necessary to excel in today's real estate market. Welcome, Derek Hall. Ali Schwartz, Yelp Senior Marketing Manager, works to build thriving network of local business owners, managers, and marketers. Ali is an expert when it comes to communicating business services, offering and expanding the SEO value of online brand. Get strategic advice managing the world of online reviews and learn how to leverage social media to create awareness for your business and brand. Welcome, Ali. Jasmine Willois is the founder and the president of Note Assistance Program, which offers a proven proprietary system for educating entrepreneurs, accredited investors, and family offices on how to buy non-performing mortgages from big banks, hedge funds, and credit unions. Ms. Willois' unique approach is informed by her more than 2 decades in the fields of economics, marketing, and real estate, and her works as a Wall Street trader. Prior to the founding of NAP, Ms. Willois worked as an equity trader and investment banker for Morgan Stanley and Dean Witter. After losing a close colleague on 9/11, she left the industry and worked as a loss mitigation specialist with GMAC Homecomings. Bit by the bug, Jasmine left the corporate world of America to chase her freedom and returns of real estate investments. Welcome, Jasmine. Without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to our co-host, Lorendi Roos at Roos Advisors.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our exciting panel this morning. We're so excited to hear from 3 different individuals this morning around our direct outreach strategy. Reminder that there's a chat button on the Zoom. Please use that chat button to send out shout outs to our guests, questions that you want answered, because that's what we're here to do for you this morning. So as we look at our direct outreach strategy, I'm going to take myself back just a couple of years, Anthony, when we used to do direct mailers. And we would do lots of direct mailers. It was just a couple of years ago. It wasn't that long ago, Anthony, being a little facetious there. Actually, I'm thinking back into the early 90s when we would do mass targeting and send out 100,000 direct mail. And we would expect about a 0.00007% response rate. Remember those days? And we would have to target the same people, because we also learned that it would take 3, 4, 5 times before someone would actually take action upon that. And we had this mass blanket strategy because we didn't know who really needed our services. We just knew that somewhere amongst all that population that was in the immediate area, there was probably someone somewhere, sometime that might need our services. And I remember often that we would have a expiration date on the coupon that was attached with that direct mailer. And of course, we would always honor it well beyond the expiration. But the reason we put the expiration on was because we were always curious about how long people would hold on to these special offers before they would raise their hand and say, I want what she's having. And we would often find people would hold on to these flyers and these mailers for 3-4 years at a time. Jasmine's shaking her head. She remembers, right? And then there was also this cold calling aspect. And what we learned about cold calling, again, going back all of these years of longitudinal studies, is that where it would take 0.0007% on a direct mail, we could increase those numbers to get about an 8% connection rate. Now, that doesn't mean we always got a good response, but you could at least connect with about 8% of the people. The challenge was the amount of time it took, right, on that cold calling strategy. So now we can roll the clock forward, and we have aggregator sites, and we have, through mass email marketing, through landing pages, we have ways to directly outreach to people that kind of shortens the time. And also this really beautiful thing happened even when we were doing direct mail, that remember when we were able to start socioeconomically, geographically targeting? So that 100,000 emailers, now we could start to target to specific people. So we've learned a bit over time, and what our direct outreach strategy today looks like is a little different than what it was, back in the early 90s when I was, 10, doing this kind of stuff. So our direct outreach strategy that we're going to talk about today is that we really, number one, do not want to be the noise that interrupts people's quiet. We want to try to understand the buying needs, the compelling needs and desires of someone who might need my services. And then in a gentle and powerful at the same time, have a method to reach out to them and let them know that I'm available. I offer these services, and I'm not even sure I'm for you. But would you be open to having a conversation so that when you're ready, willing, and able, perhaps we might be able to work together? And then number two, we're going to avoid sending outreach messages that break down. And those breakdown messages start immediately when I'm just spamming the world. And if we're reaching out to people, especially on a mass email perspective, and they haven't asked to be on our list, that's called spamming. And in addition to it not being legal, it just doesn't feel good on any level. And that's a sure way to already have kind of a chink in our armor if we want to eventually have connection with that person. And then number three, we use the vital outreach approach to ensure our messages are acted upon. And the way that we do that is, number one, we target who is the potential client who may potentially need my services. Then we provide valuable, individualized messaging, number one, about who I am, what I stand for, and then also what's going to be valuable to you. Because if you don't know me, you don't like me, and I'm not credible, what's the likelihood that you're going to raise your hand to sign up for a second conversation? So we do it in a way that is self-promoting, but it's more in a way of coming to say, here's who I am, here's what's important to me, and I also sell cars. Oh, and I also sell mortgages, or I also offer training in the real estate industry if you are a broker or you're an agent, whatever that is, right? And here's how I do it in a way that my clients have really come to connect with me. So you're just putting it out there, and it needs to be legitimate, right? So it needs to be backed by case studies, examples, even statistics of how the people that we have served have been able to improve their lives, improve their initiatives, take their businesses to the next level. And the number four is the one I love the most. We create our Book Yourself Solid list of 20 people that we reach out to, people that I don't know. And LinkedIn and a lot of other search tools make it really easy for us to decide, to know who to reach out to decide that maybe, I'm not saying for sure, but maybe there might be a connection point for us. And then we track our efforts and we keep track. And most importantly, we follow up. Anthony, I'm always surprised about how many people who show up on our calls here. And we give so much of ourselves, right? And that's good. We love doing it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. And then we'll reach out and then people don't respond back, right? And I'm not talking within a matter of hours. I'm talking within a matter of weeks. But to me, what it goes to prove too is that you have to reach out 5 or 6 or 7 times because people are busy, whatever's going on in their lives. But just what we often do is we give up after the first time or the second time. And if we go back to, you know, the E-Myth, and we remember the work of in that book, that this is where most of us fail. If there is a failure point in our direct outreach and our sales strategy, is that we give up after the second time. And the differential that puts us in the top 10% of those who are really able to move our businesses, our desks, our companies forward, is that we've reached out 5, 6, and 7 times. And we keep reaching out in a gentle, non-obtrusive way until they say, no, not interested. Then we can move them, or they unsubscribe, or whatever the case is. So Anthony, I'm really excited to speak to our panelists and learn from them. And they all come from very different viewpoints on this and different different companies. I'm really excited to learn how they do direct outreach in a way that feels good, is inspiring, and moves the needle on their businesses. So I'm going to turn the time over to you to start a question and answer period.
Very good. Thank you, Laurenti. I guess this question is mainly for Derek, of course, and Jasmine. You know, how do you guys handle direct outreach so you don't really annoy someone or get spammed? How do you do this? And then I'll ask Ali a separate, different question. Derek, you can start.
Sure. All right. So for me, I started out with direct outreach just because I had a kind of unique situation. So I had worked with Property Shark, as I said in my bio, for 13 years. And so this said Property Shark to everybody, right? You know, like people knew me because I was going into their offices and they knew who I was, but it was like, oh yeah, that's the Property Shark guy. So I had to establish myself as the charter real estate guy, but I had to use Property Shark as the springboard. So I was reaching out to former clients and their bosses and things like that saying, you know, by the way, I have now a continuing education class about Property Shark. So I had to tie myself to Property Shark, but then also move it forward and relate it to the school. So that was how I used my direct outreach initially, was to offer the value of the continuing education the agents needed, while framing it in the familiar of the Property Shark, saying you have this product already, I know you have it, and now you can learn about it and also get credits that your agents need. So that was kind of what I did, was always establishing value. You know, doing a lot of introductions as well, because I have a pretty decent sized network. So it's a matter of, this person might be able to help you. And by the way, check out my school. So it was always a matter of providing value for me.
Thank you, Derek. Jasmine?
Yes, can you guys hear me? Thanks for having me, by the way.
You're welcome.
Always want to start with that. Yeah, you know, I wanted to make sure that, because what Derek said was very astute, right? So I want to make sure we can see through what really happened right there. And that's really the same story I have and I want everyone else to have, which is first and foremost, start with your network, whether it's Property Shark, whether it's whatever you used to do, whatever's in front of you. You may be someone who it has a big influence in art world. I just found out that I have a big influence in the golf community, right? So think about where you have an influence and tap into that first, because you want to start going to places where you're well known. What Derek used was what he already had, which was 10 years or 20 years, whatever it is, with Property Shark. And he was doing what? Hitting the pavement. So first and foremost, don't think there was any shortcut, okay? Derek did what he did with Property Shark and then utilized that for his freedom and entrepreneurship. But he, no matter what, he put down that hard work. And so I did the very same thing, okay? And so make sure you, or sure, whatever number I'm on now, the third thing I think you should do is make sure you identify your target market, right? And so if you happen to identify that your target market happens to be one that you have a huge influence in, right? Start to try to convert them and speak in their language and convert them into whatever it is you're doing, whether it's real estate investing or finding a new home for them, first, second home. So find your niche to market, and then don't be afraid of the hard work, because I had to do the same thing. I happen to be from both coasts, right? New York and California. And I grew up on both coasts. So I use that as my advantage very early. And before there was what I was doing at a professional level, I'm going to confess to you that I was just a serial partier. Okay. And so for those of you who just had a huge socialite and you were a socialite, that's what I did. I flew from the East Coast to the West Coast to hang out with everyone and everyone in between. And one day I woke up and said, I need to utilize that and harness that for business, right? And so that's what I want everyone to get from this is that you probably have something, whether you're a huge influence in the restaurant industry, figure out who it is that you need to cater to and start there.
Oh, geez. Thank you, Jasmine. Well put there. Allie, with the Yelp platform, how does Yelp generate leads and not annoy people?
Yeah, it's so important. With direct marketing, there are two sides to it. There's inbound and then there's outbound. And what Derek and Jasmine are so eloquently talking about is the outbound marketing. So sending out emails, making sure that you're not spamming people, that it's not having the effect mailers had in the 90s. Like you're really sending valuable information and you're building out your network. And that's so, so important. And when we talk about Yelp, it's a little bit different. It's more of inbound advertising and inbound marketing. And the reason why is because consumers are coming to us. Consumers are coming to the Yelp platform. And as a real estate agent or as a broker, or as a firm, having a listing, which is totally free to create if you don't already have one, it just puts you in front of those consumers that are already coming to Yelp. And so having part one or part 1A, we'll call it, which is like the email and networking and all of that. And then having part 1B to really support that and they can kind of be fluid and go into each other is really important. And again, it's free to create, or if you already have a listing, just putting information on there. And the cherry on top is whether someone hears about you through referral or through an email or whatever the case may be, a lot of times people might go to Yelp to cross-reference or just to double check. And folks think that Yelp is just for restaurants, but we actually have every single category and every single vertical that you can think of. And I was just looking at some statistics before I hopped on the call, and we had over 70,000 searches for real estate agent just in the month of September in New York City. So people are coming to Yelp, they're looking for a realtor. And the last thing I'll say on this specific topic is how to just like put yourself out there and be there is, one, you really want to make sure that you have all of your information on there. It's so important. And the folks, and I always say you're all business owners in your own way. So I say take the business owner hat off and really think about the consumer. And when consumers are on Yelp, they are making an educated decision to hire someone. So it's a little bit different than Trulia or Streezy or any of those where they might filter out like no fee or have like certain criteria for what they want when they're looking at listings. Whereas when you come to Yelp, you're looking for a relationship. You're looking for someone to talk to, someone to work with, a consultation, an ask, whatever the case may be, and you really want to build that relationship with the people that are coming to Yelp and searching for what you do, and then insert yourself in there.
That's great. Allie, is Yelp is there a cost to Yelp, or is it free services, or is it like LinkedIn where you do have charges on different levels?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a good comparison as far as like you can have something free and then pay if you want to promote it. Honestly, even like Facebook ads are a good analogy. Like you can have a personal Facebook page, a business Facebook page, but if you want to promote an event, you're putting yourself out there. The difference with Yelp is if you just want to promote your business. And like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all these sites house a lot of great information. They house news, they house updates on who's getting married and who's having kids and businesses, and it kind of like mixes those worlds. Whereas Yelp is just one thing. We're a local business directory. So it's a little bit more focused. It's a little bit more targeted. The free side of it is you can create a page. We don't take a credit card to do so. You can add information. The most important thing will be to activate the contact agent, if that applies to you, button. Again, it's totally free. Add headshots if you have it, or photos, make it really personable. And again, information, because if someone lands on your page, you want to make sure you're equipping yourself to be able to convert that potential prospective client. And then when we talk about paid advertising on Yelp, that would be if you want prime real estate essentially on Yelp. So when someone does a search, if you want to be one of the first ones that come up, that's when you're going to pay for that exposure. But to have a listing, you can go to it, you can send it out, whatever the case may be, is totally free. You're only going to pay when you want to put yourself in front of more consumers and get more people coming to your page.
Wow, that's great. I was just curious, Derek, Jasmine, are you using Yelp? Are you using it as a tool, marketing tool?
We'll be after this. So,
I know. I was just going to say it's important as well as I.
yeah.
That's very good, Alan. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Like I use it personally, but I don't use it for my business. I'm a big fan of Yelp actually, but I haven't actually just taken the time to get set up on there, but I really, really should. Yeah.
We're going to be learning a lot more because Ali is going to, Yelp is going to be having a series. So we're going to be learning a lot more about Yelp. Guys, this goes for all you. How do you send out vital and valuable messages? And why don't we start off with Jasmine?
All right, thanks again. Yeah, for me, because of the type of community that I've created and I'm looking to create, that's what I sought out to do first. So when we talk about inbound versus outbound and using technology at, to your advantage, one of the things I did is as I went out and started finding people that said yes to opting in to, yes, I'd love to learn more about you and follow you. It's create a small community, whether it be on Facebook or one of these places so that I can communicate to them directly and they have opted in on that. So it's like, hey, if you don't mind joining my Jasmine Willois a Realtor group, right? Or whatever it is you're going to do. And that way they can get messages direct and you're not necessarily having to run around and spread the news. And at that point, you can also say to them, hey, if you had a good experience with me, please go and make a review on Yelp. So you can always go back to that community and have them continue on with your marketing efforts. But that's one of the things that I do to communicate to them directly, again, without having to spam and having to subscribe to all these expensive, CRM things at this point in my life, especially if I'm a beginner, right?
Very good, Jasmine. Thank you. Ali?
So I said it earlier, information is key. It's so, so, so important. It's a little bit different than maybe what your website might say in like the About Us section. You actually want to think about it from a prospective client's point of view. So at the end of the day, Yelp is a search engine. So you want to think about the actual search term that someone might type in. And an example in a separate industry is for like a locksmith, let's say. This actually happened to me. I was locked out of my apartment. And what I typed in, it was late and I live alone, and I typed in nice locksmith. So I want someone that's nice. I want to make sure that I'm seeing whether that's someone wrote that in their bio, like all of our folks that work for us are really kind and they're never going to scam you, things like that. Like people have like the strangest search terms, and really think about what someone might write when they're searching for your services, because Yelp is a search engine and we're going to try and best match what you type in. So when someone does a search for, let's call it a real estate agent in Manhattan, there are going to be a couple ads that show up above the search results and then all of the organic search results. And if I type in like the best real estate agent or the nicest real estate agent, like you want to have some of these words on your page if they make sense for you. Like, what is it about you that makes you different? What is your brand? I always say, like, understand what your brand is and then scream it from the rooftops. Make sure you're putting that everywhere. Make sure you come across in the way that you think your personality is, because at the end of the day, this is a service-based business that you guys are in. So people are paying for you. They're paying to be connected to you and to get services by you. So what is it about you? Why should they work with you? All that should be on there. I mean, you're really selling yourself on everything. That's not just for Yelp. That's for Facebook, for LinkedIn, in your direct marketing email campaigns. Like, you're just selling yourself. And Anthony, as you said, you want to make sure it's of value, right? So make sure that the information on your page, it's not just filler information and not just like a bio, but something that people can connect with. If someone went through the trouble of doing a search on Yelp and then they found your Yelp page and then they're on your Yelp page, like, those are 3 big steps to actually get there. So include lots of information that makes sense. It's going to rope someone in, and maybe it's not necessarily like all about you and your accomplishments and your achievements. It's what you're going to give them. And that's your value proposition is, for you, I will give blank.
That is great. I hope, Derek, I know you're next, Derek, but I hope when I go onto Yelp and I type out nicest real estate school, you will appear.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And I will type in nice real estate school. Derek?
I was going to be there. Hold me to it.
I know.
I use social media a lot. Social media is actually kind of one of the ways that I use to separate myself from the competition. I use social media and also partnerships. So everything that I do, I try to involve other people that will benefit from it. So like a continuing education class is very useful to an agent, but it's also very useful to a loan officer or a title company or other people that are in the industry that want to meet the agents. And so I do a lot of cross promotion with partners and allow them to spread the word for me, so that I have access to their networks as well. But then also social media, like I have Instagram. I don't even have a personal Instagram account. I have an Instagram account for the school. And so that allows me to put up a flyer and share it with everyone. And, going back to Allie's point, hashtags. Hashtags are super important because, I hashtag every borough, Manhattan real estate, Brooklyn real estate, Queens real estate. Those things actually work. And other, buzzwords that are associated with the content. And so, having a focused social media strategy is really good for getting content out there. Like I have 2 Facebook pages. I have my personal Facebook page and my business Facebook page. My business Facebook page is not that great. I'm not going to lie. Most agents find my personal page, and that's where most of my users are. Like most of the people that know me or even that know the school follow me on Facebook. So now I just put it on my my regular Facebook account. So social media is actually very, very good for me because there's not a lot of other people using it in that way for this channel. So it works out pretty well for me.
And I think that goes back to you having this a community where everyone knows where to find you. So that's just kind of what you did. You've harnessed everything over your past 15, 20 years because they've now been there following you, whether it's just for your children and again, I'm not too familiar with your personal life, but because you like to ski, because you like to play poker, you start getting people for those type of things, which all fall in the category of nice, right? She says nice. I'm going to put in poker playing.
Yeah. That's how you got to do it, right? You've got to be a fully developed person and show it to everybody.
True.
That's going to draw them.
Very true. Very true. Lorendi?
So I want to circle back to something that Jasmine talked about. You were talking about go where you're known, right? In the vein of Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And you talked about go where you already have an influence and then do the work. So I had the gift of sitting in front of Elliot Goldenthal, who is a world-renowned composer who did the scores for Batman, right? And one of the things that was so interesting about listening to him speak and how he arrived where he arrived is that he studied with Aaron Copland. And Aaron Copland, who's a Brooklyn native, right? So we can send some shouts out that way. When Elliot asked Aaron Copland, how can I become influential and be an incredible composer? And Aaron Copland said, go where you're wanted. So find that thing that inspires you and then always find yourself where you're wanted. And I've never forgotten that. And then the other thing that you talked about is just do the work, just get after it, right? And I'm such a huge believer in that. And Elliot Goldenthal, using that example again, he wanted to be in the presence of Aaron Copland. So he showed up and was Aaron Copland's houseboy. And he cleaned Aaron Copland's toilets. And whatever Aaron Copland asked him to do, that's what he did.
Amen.
And so I really wanted to ask you kind of a follow-up question to that, Jasmine, is where did that kind of intersection of I'm a party girl and I'm gonna pivot that, and I love that. We can see that. Way to own that. I love
it. Shocking.
Right? I love it. How does I'm going to own that and I'm going to actually do the work? Like, where did that, what was there a moment? Are there accumulation of moments? What was that for
Almost
you?
Accumulation, but the one that sticks out, the one that almost brings tears to my eyes, right, is I will never forget, and this is going to age me, but I was in the back of my aunt's car, and it was just pagers was a thing, right? And I had this pager was going off like nobody's business. I thought I was the coolest kid in the world. I had people paging me from every area code, right? That was a thing.
Right.
And my aunt turned back and she just straight clowned me. She said, if you had a dime for every time someone paged you and called you, you'd be a rich lady. And I was like, well, maybe I should make people pay me, because she's basically telling me, or what I got that was, is like, you spend so much time socializing that you better figure out how to monetize this because you don't know. I don't know what else you know how to do. And so really just made me realize that, everybody has that human level in them. And so wherever you go, whether it's you're in a composing field, my dad is a musician. He's a flautist. So you hit home with that too. So it doesn't matter where you are. I'm the weird one who goes into a crowd, and I grew up in NASCAR and classical music. So I had to go where I connected. And so the other thing I just want to tell you is that I had one of my many fathers, people had to look after me, and he told me this. He said, you're going to spend, if you do it right, you can spend the first 10 years of your life working hard and building your reputation, then you can live the rest of your years living off of that reputation. So while you're young, that hit me. I was like, get it done now, put in your 10,000 hours or whatever, however you want to save it, but do it now so that when you get older or whatever it is you want to do, you have children, which was my pivot point, then you now can say, okay, now I want to pick and choose where I want to do myself. But we could not, both of those examples did not elude that you had to work for it and you needed to make sure that you transitioned whatever you were doing.
That's amazing. Build a good reputation and then live off of it and then do the work to support that. So Derek, one of the things I so respect about you is from the first time I met you, I could see that you are a man of integrity. You have a family. We were talking, your kids are in the other room doing their studies and you're sewing into them. So how has your reputation helped you in your direct outreach and staying connected?
Yeah, so actually it's been, the lifeblood of my business. That's really, like I said, what I built it on. And so when I was with Property Shark, I was a trainer. So, people were used to me going to their office and showing them how to use the product. And early on, I realized that the way that I had to teach people was not just, oh yeah, you press this button and then this list comes up and you copy that and you put it over there. I had to relate it to what people did. And so it was a lot easier for people to take in the information when it's, well, you've got to make a list, because when you're going to send, you've got a new listing, you want to send it out to everyone who's got a similar property. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go about it in this way, and really just kind of not just teaching, but informing people and putting it in ways that they could understand and not just kind of throwing, technology terms at them. And so people, I think, really appreciated that. And so that developed my reputation over the years. And it got to the point where people would call me to ask me real estate questions, things that were way, I don't say above my pay grade, but weren't my job description, And so that still happens to this day, where like people have questions. Like I have agents calling me questions, asking me things about fair housing. And so it's a very, very interesting thing to be looked at as a person who knows. And I appreciate that. I respect that. And, I try to be a nice guy along the way at the same time. Everybody says, I have a big smile and all that. And I try to show it off as much as possible. So it's really just those things, just provide value, be nice, do the right thing, and keep doing those things. That's really all it is. And that's just what I strive to do, because the way that I do my classes is different from the way that other schools do it. And so it's already a hurdle for people to say, well, I'm not used to it being that way. But I think I get my foot in the door, because it's like, okay, well, I trust Derek. So at least coming from a source that people have some degree of respect for. And I take that as a huge compliment. I really appreciate that when people will give me a chance, they'll hear what I have to say, and they'll consider what I have to say because they know me or they know someone who knows me. People recommend me all the time. I get referrals constantly, and I love it when that happens. And so I wish I could say I was doing it on purpose, but I just try really hard to be of value and useful and not a schmuck. So
that's great. When you're purpose driven, it's just who you are, isn't it? And that's
right.
One of the things
exactly.
that, Anthony, we're so honored, really, and we're so blessed to have people that show up for us every week who come from that purpose driven space. And so it just makes it easy. So Allie, I want to shift to you. And I know Yelp's part of the Yelp platform is to help people demonstrate that they're known, liked, and trusted. So one of the things that Yelp provides is the ability for people to leave reviews and so forth. So I want to just have you speak in your own words about how Yelp helps with that know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah, absolutely. When people think of Yelp, they think of reviews. And I think a common misconception that I'll just bring up right away is that people think, well, the only time someone's going to write a review is if they had a terrible experience and then they're going to take time out of their day to go and do it. That's what everyone assumes. But we test every quarter the breakdown of how many 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1-star reviews we have. And over 80% of all of the reviews are 5 stars. So we have more 5-star reviews than 1, 2, and 3-star reviews combined. And that's been true for the last 15 years that Yelp has been around. And so what that means is that people want a good connection, a good service, a good product. And when they get that, they're inclined to go and talk about it. Something else to keep in mind is we have hundreds of millions of people using Yelp every day, but less than 1% of our users actually write reviews and create content. I myself was never a review writer. It just wasn't something I did or that I would do. I can't write reviews now that I work for the company, but I don't know that I would if I didn't. It's just not something I feel inclined to do. And a lot of other people feel that way, but a lot of people obviously also do write reviews, and the community relies on those reviews. Now, Yelp as a company, we have advice for when you have a 5-star review versus a 1-star review, and how to handle it. But across the board, you should always respond. There's an amazing book called Hug Your Haters. It's by Jay Bear, and it's a fantastic book. And it talks about when someone's talking about you, online or offline, you should always be talking back. And if someone was to your face in person saying, you know, I was really disappointed with the listing you just showed me, you're not going to look the other way or walk away or ignore them, or even if it's on the phone, hang up with them or ignore an email. So there's no reason to ignore if an unfavorable review pops up on your Yelp page. There's no reason to ignore it. It's actually an opportunity, and the book really talks about this. It's an opportunity to capitalize, to make money, to turn that person into someone who's happy, and to turn them into a client, and to turn them into a lifelong client. And the power of someone who is unhappy that turns happy means a lot to them, and that's when they go out and even feed you more. Now, that being said, a lot of people have a fear with creating a Yelp page. Like, well, if I create a Yelp page and, you know, I have either like an ex-employee or an old friend or someone I was in a relationship with that might like badmouth me or write a fake review or like write a 1-star review about me, Yelp won't let that show. We have an algorithm, and that's why people trust the site so much. About 30% of all reviews that are written get filtered out because for whatever reason, they don't come from a trusted source. We can't tell enough information about that user, and so it doesn't get posted. Now, it's a machine, it's a computer, it's an algorithm. So I will say it's an imperfect system, and sometimes things slip through the cracks, and sometimes someone might actually write a review about maybe it was meant for someone else that has the same name or what have you, or there's confusion and there's a mix-up. If there's a negative review that doesn't pertain to you or you don't agree with, you can log into the business owner's end. So there's yelp.com, and then there's a separate app and website for free where you can access like the back end, your dashboard. You can go in and do what we call flag that review. So a computer system is looking at all the reviews and if they're trustworthy. When you flag it, it'll actually get looked at by a human team, and you can write kind of like what's going on with the review. Why do you think it's unfair? And then a human team separate, that's all they do, will look at that. Now, let's say the team says, sorry, we think that that's a valid review. You can then appeal that and send it to a separate team. So we have checks and balances in place to make sure that it's a fair site so that consumers trust us. And when consumers are trusting us, that's when it's important for you guys as businesses to be on there as well. And the most important thing is to just always respond. Always respond, because even if it's someone that you'll never win over and maybe they're a little crazy and who knows what happened, there's those crazy people out there. If you have a review on your page, you want to make sure you're responding, not necessarily for the person who wrote it, but more importantly for the people that land on your page. I can't tell you the amount of times I've heard from different agents where they might have a unfavorable review with someone they worked with. It was a legitimate review, maybe they had a bad day or there was confusion or whatever, but someone separate contacted them because of the way they handled and responded to that. Like having insight as a prospective client that's about to hire someone, having insight to how they handle, you know, a situation that's like a little muddy like that, like just responding professionally and saying like, I tried to contact you, like, let's follow up offline, like something short and sweet. Doesn't need to be like, no one reads, you know, on Yelp, everyone, their attention spans aren't long, like 2 sentences max. You don't want to like start to go into a defensive, you know, essay, but you do want to like set the record straight for what had happened, and you're basically talking to other people that are going to find you. So to wrap it up, always respond to the reviews, and also the point is for everything to stay on Yelp. So someone does a search on Yelp, they find someone on Yelp and they have a good experience, and then they may or may not write a positive review, and then rinse and repeat. So you don't necessarily have to like send your Yelp page to people in your network, and you never want to ask for reviews because that's when actually our algorithm might see like this person never searched for a real estate agent, and like that's how we keep the site good, because otherwise everyone could have tons of 5-star reviews. I know all of you people on here have at least 20 people in your arsenal that you could be like, do you love me? Like, write me a review. Even if they've really genuinely had your services, it doesn't matter. You want to keep it authentic. You want to let someone find you on Yelp, and then after they find you on Yelp and you provide a wonderful service, let them write about that service. And I don't want to take up too much time, but one other fun fact I'll say is almost 80% of 1-star reviews talk about customer service. So again, it's not necessarily that someone didn't show up on time or it's like there was a miscommunication or something. It's always about like the feeling, the service, the way you handle things, which is why I say it's important to respond to everything so people see you respond to the reviews, to your customers, to your clients. It's so important to just have that presence and just have that like 5-star mentality in mind, and that will set you up for success.
That's great, Allie. You know, Allie, since we're talking about reviews, Derek and Jasmine, they sign up with Yelp. How do they promote themselves when they get the reviews?
Good question. So someone gets a review, we encourage you to then share that on other social media, whether that's on an Instagram story, an Instagram post. Like, you definitely have bragging rights. Like, screenshot that, put it on LinkedIn, like show off that you have received a good review. Absolutely. It's important for people to know that like, this is my reputation and like, take a look and now I'm on Yelp, and like, we totally encourage that. And it's great to then share that out. As far as promoting yourself, if you wanted to explore advertising options, when you're in the back end site of biz.yelp.com, it's called, you can see everything that's there, where to upload your information, and in addition, where to sign up for advertising. If you wanted to try it for a day, a week, there are no contracts. You set a daily budget, a ceiling that you want to hit. It's super flexible. You can pause or cancel at any time. Again, when we're talking about some of the paid features, and it's important to note that there is no correlation between like how many reviews you have or your overall star rating and paid advertising. The two have nothing to do with each other. You can't like slide Yelp a couple thousand and then all of a sudden you have like 25-star reviews. Like it does not work like that. You can go and try it for yourself if you want, but you can take my word for it. But that's one portion of some of the paid features that we have, is just promoting yourself so that more exposure, more people are finding you. If you already have a reputation on Yelp and people are already finding you and maybe you don't necessarily want more exposure, we have what we call conversion tools that are also paid features that you can pay for to have on your page. For example, like a verified license, and you get like a sticker that says you're a verified license. Again, building that consumer trust for prospective clients when they land on your page. Every free Yelp page has competitor ads for those that are paying clients, and you can pay to get those off, but not necessarily pay to promote yourself. So there are probably 20 different tools that you can utilize. And when you're in your account, you can play with them. They start at like $1 a day, something very small. But at the end of the day, it's all driven to either one, get you that exposure when someone's searching, or two, help convert for when you already have the exposure going on.
Well, that's great, Allie. This is so much good information, and we're really excited about signing up. Guys, this is for all of you guys. And are you able to truly reach out with expectation and stay motivated? And Derek, why don't we start off with you?
Yeah, I actually look forward to doing outreach. Like one of the things that when I was with Property Shark, again, to belabor the point, I worked a lot with our marketing team. And I learned from them early on is marketing is an excuse to send an email, an excuse to reach out to somebody, to contact someone. So I actually look forward to it. If I have something going on, my instinct is, hey, people want to hear this. People want to know what's going on. And so I actually like it. I love the opportunity to I make my own flyers. Sometimes Julie helps me out, and hers are obviously 10 times better than mine. But like, I enjoy the process of, putting together what I think will be a draw to the people that, my marketing is meant for. And so I like the whole process of it. I really look forward to the idea of putting up a post on Instagram, putting something on Facebook, sending emails. I do paid ads on Instagram and Facebook as well. And there's obviously real value to it. But it's part of the job that I embrace. Like when I'm doing a class for, a group of agents and I've got my sponsors, I send them all my flyers that I've designed. When they say they like it, makes me feel better, and I send it out with a bigger smile on my face after that.
Very good, Derek. Jasmine?
Yeah. So, marketing, believe it or not, is a necessary evil for me. It's not something I prefer to do. And so it's something that I'm traditionally an older school person. So I want to leave you with this, just so make sure I leave you with something of value. I think there's a fine line between both the online marketing and then what I call the guerrilla marketing. Okay, so I'm from New York City, old school, 43rd and 10th, Hell's Kitchen as it used to be called. There's no replacement for the guy on the corner flipping the sign. Ask me how I know, because he's still out there, okay? He's still out there flipping the sign, and then we have tools like Yelp. So for me, I'm more of a shake hands, kiss baby type of person. I do utilize online services 100%, and I tend to want to have someone else, you know, do that marketing for me and being online and plugging it for me. If I'm online, then obviously I'm talking about my business. But really, I want you guys to know that whatever your business model is, find that fine line between the old school marketing, talking to people, putting out not only electronic flyer, but when COVID is over, handing a flyer to someone, talking to them, right? Getting to know them, asking them how their day was. Because as this young lady here mentioned, Mrs. Is it Ross or Roos, that it's about how people feel, right? It's about how you make people feel. And so that is one of the things that you have a hard time getting across on social media. And that's why they invented sites like Yelp and things like that. So realistically, I want you to understand that you have to focus on what I call the AI, the artificial intelligence, right? Which is really just a human being behind it. At the end, it's a human being, no matter how fancy the computer is, and you have to focus on how to make them and their family and their surroundings feel good and feel good about you. So that's the main thing that I do. And I focus on things that I like to do. And so since I don't like to necessarily market online, I'm not necessarily good at it, then I try to outsource that. And you find a lot of that just through Fiverr, right? Little things like Fiverr I use, little things like, these are secrets of industry, Odesk, and I don't think it's called Odesk anymore, I'm so old, but whatever it's called now, use some of these things to outsource some of that stuff. It's really inexpensive, so you can focus on what you're good at. That's my best advice to you guys.
That's very good advice. Allie, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, Derek and Jasmine really hit the nail on the head. I know it's overwhelming. There's so much. There's LinkedIn, Yelp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then there's Instagram stories. So that's like constantly putting up different content. And then there's like direct email marketing campaigns. And then there's actually what your real job, like your service, the service you're providing to prospective clients. So I always tell folks to pick two. Obviously, I'm the Yelp girl, so I'm going to tell you to make Yelp one of your two. But if it's not Yelp, that's okay. Just pick two, because you can't be like, sometimes there are these like marketing consultants that say they're going to put you on, 100 plus different pages. Like, no one's seeing those. It's like having a party invitation and not sending it out. You're just having it kind of exist in the SEO universe, but it's not actually driving anything for you. So pick two that you can really focus on. Start where you might have, if you were following on Facebook already, if you were following on LinkedIn already, start there if you think it'll yield results. Pick two, really focus on them, really create valuable, non-spammy content that you think is important, and that if you were, put yourself in the shoes of a prospective client. If you saw it on LinkedIn, would you say like, oh, I want to repost that or something like that? So my ultimate advice would be pick two. The online marketing stratosphere can be overwhelming. So take your choice of what you feel like you could handle, and then combine it with 5-star customer service all the way through with what you're actually providing.
Thank you, Allie. Lorendi?
Yeah, thank you, Allie, Derek, and Jasmine. So I want to just open it up to the floor. This is an opportunity for you to put some questions in the chat, and then Anthony and I will try to moderate those for you. This has been such a great session this morning, filled with such amazing content and heart. That's what we always come away with, is this purpose-driven, the heart of who you are. So I can only imagine that for the three of you, that you are very successful because your heart shines through, and that's what's really powerful, and that's what will keep the clicks coming through, whether you're online or whether you're kissing babies and shaking hands. Jasmine, we got to get her running for office somewhere, don't you think?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Amazing. Yeah, so no questions coming in on the chat this morning, a kind of a quiet crowd, I guess. We have Robert saying, thank you so much, everyone, and great point, Lorendi. Again, I'm only able to make great points because we have such great guests on our panel that make it really easy for us. So Anthony, as we kind of go into our final section, here's an exercise I kind of like to do. And I think it is pretty provocative. And that is that imagine you have an hour left on planet Earth before you're going to transcend to your next go around, whatever that looks like for you. And what's the one thing that you would want to tell your target market standing in front of them? What would you want them to know about you and your business? So we'll take a moment, because I get it was an off the handle question. You weren't expecting it, but I have a sense that you know who you are, so it wouldn't be difficult. So we'll start with Jasmine. We'll go Jasmine, then Allie, and then we'll close with Derek. What would you say?
So let me make sure I understand the question. It was the last hour before I transition and I want to leave a message or
Yes.
what people, okay.
Yeah.
I think my message, I don't know how I'd put it, but basically would circle around generational wealth. And I think that's what I was here to help everyone understand and how to achieve. And that looks like, looks different for everyone, but it's something that's achievable. So you have to, like we talked about here, planning. And if they were going to look back at my life while I was here, hopefully it was in a demonstration of how, I planned. I'm originally from the Bronx, okay? Well, before gentrification was what about it right now. In transition, where I'm live out here in San Diego, California, right? On quite a few acres. So what I want to tell people is it's really, whatever that looks like for you, it's attainable. You gotta put the work, and hopefully that, my time here before I transition, show them how to get that generational worth to help their children get those habits. So that would be it.
Thank you, Jasmine. One of my mentors often used to tell me, he said, Lorendi, money doesn't solve everything, but it solves a lot. So get as much as you can so that you can do what you want to do. And
I love it.
Anthony and I often talk about that, my 3 pillars for why I show up every day to do the work I do is because I do have a mission to eradicate spiritual and physical hunger and be a channel for that in my lifetime. And I think in both cases, spiritual and physical, it's a distribution issue, not a supply and resource issue. And that wealth that you're talking about helps solve that. And then also another pillar for me is to bring clarity to situations and just be a channel where I can walk with other humans to help them find clarity, to be the best that they can be for themselves, and then to make the invisible visible. And so there are so many people who feel invisible, and so many people who feel unheard, underserved, not able to share their message. And so hopefully at Roost Advisors, that's one of the things we look at. So thank you so much for bringing your heart. So Allie, you have an hour before you transcend and you have the stage. What would you say?
I would say that passion is power. I mean, everyone could feel when someone has a passion and it lights them up and it lights up the room, and everyone could feel that. And that's why I love working with business owners. It's because I'm like a little leech. I like leech off all that passion every day, and I hear how they got started and I hear how they're connecting with their network, and I love it. And I think that it's so important. And if you have passion in something that you do and then you create a strategy around it, you're going to be successful with it because people can feel that. Because there was a recent study that said people feel lonelier now, and this I'm talking pre-pandemic, people feel lonelier now than they ever have before, but we have more ways to connect with people than we ever have before, but it's all digitally. So people just want that connection. They want to feel your passion. They want to feel that you want to help them. And if you can illuminate that, then they're going to feel that as well. And it'll ultimately help you soar.
Thank you. The power of connection. Wonderful. And Derek, now the platform is yours, my friend.
You guys are making it hard. Those are very, very good answers. So I would say to piggyback actually on what you said, Lorendi, about clarity, right? So I'm a big proponent of being helpful. I genuinely like helping people. I appreciate when something that I can do helps someone else achieve what they want, because that does in turn eventually help me achieve what I want. But the value of helping other people getting to where they want to be, it's good for you and it's good for them as well, and it pays back dividends, but then also how you help people, right? So like for me, education is a very important thing. It always was for me growing up, and education obviously It's good. It feeds my kids as well. But, you know, education provides clarity, right? So if I can teach you something that'll help you be better at what you do, it takes you to a whole other level, right? You know, it's one thing to go to help you get you. What they say, actually, I'll use the saying, if you fish for a man, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. One act can do so much for a person depending on what that act is. And so if you focus on doing good things, helping, being of service, I hate to belabor that word service, but it's an important term. So if you can be helpful, it'll be good for you and everybody around you at the same time. So that would be the point that I would really harp on.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah.
There's an amazing slogan in there. If it's good for you, it's good for me. Right? I love that.
Exactly, yeah. Yes.
And we have a question from our audience. And it says, hey, everyone, I come from the artist world, has become a photographer, videographer in the Central Jersey, New York City area. When building your network, how have you all surrounded yourself with clients and relationships that are not just transactional? And we're coming to the top of our hour. So I just want to say that I think what I heard each of you say was that you put yourself out there and you weren't afraid to say, here's who I am, here's what I stand for. And then by putting yourself out there, you attracted clients, employees, vendors, you attracted people who could resonate with that. And then it was, you know, it was kind of self-fulfilling. So Anthony, I'm going to let you take us home. We need to do part 2 with these amazing panelists. I'll let you take us home, Anthony.
Well, this is our second week talking about strategies, and it's all good. The first week was great. Last week was great. And I just want to give kudos to Derek. And it's all about helping. It really is about helping people. It gives me great satisfaction to put together events. That's my business has always been about events, and I believe in that giver's gain philosophy. I don't expect the gain, but the gain will come. But just concentrate on giving and don't ever expect it to come back. But it will come back if you're doing a great job and if you're helping people. And I'm a true believer in following your dreams and being persistent and going out there. I mean, I strive on the ability to put new things together and ideas together and just the satisfaction of seeing people really succeed is my turn on. And guys, we are going to be putting together a great national networking event, which everybody's going to fall in love with, as well as a global networking event as well. Because even myself running the NYC Real Estate Expo, we have to reinvent that wheel. And I think that we all are going to have the ability to get out there and help other people and meet so many people on a daily basis. So I want to hope that maybe possibly we'll get back to the live shows. And I think it is going to come back next year, but it's not going to be as fun. But hopefully in 22, there won't be too many strings attached to the live shows, and we'll get back to the normalness in 22. But guys, again, I want to thank you all for coming on board. We got a lot of great stuff happening. I'm really looking forward to Ali Schwartz's Yelp series coming, and that's going to be coming in October, November, and December. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to sign up with Yelp right away. And we're going to put all those nice things in there about being a nice networking event and the nice guy. And I know Derek's going to follow us. And Lorendia, are you on Yelp?
We are. I am on one of my businesses, but I'm going to go back in my back office and see what's been going on there, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Jasmine, are you on Yelp as well?
Yes. I just don't know how to use it, but I am. I'm signed up, and
Yeah.
Well, now you know Ali, so you can ask her personally, and she'll help you. But
Yeah.
really, I'm really excited about doing that and signing up. And guys, once again, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Guys, you take care.
Bye, everyone.
thank you so much. Take care. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye, Jasmine.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.